Welcome back to another episode of the Tracy Take. Today we are talking about the Los Angeles Rams. But first, if you have not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and that bell notification button so we can send you a message every single time we post a video. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the video today. Tyler, the Los Angeles Rams had the number one defense in points for and yards against last year. They did lose some guys, some important players on that defense, but I don't really know if much has truly changed with that defense. It has kind of been like the heart and soul of that team for a few years. It's kind of carried the offense through. But kind of, what are some of your thoughts about this defense and I guess the overall team kind of going into 2021?
I mean, yeah, they did lose a couple pieces, losing a guy like Michael Brockers. That's some sack production that you're going to need to replace. I believe he had 5 sacks last year. But they did have a big draft class where they did primarily focus on well, I guess defense and skill position players. So there could be some guys that they could find in there. But I feel like one of the things that made this defense so effective was how deep they were. So I feel like there could be a new guy that comes in and replace them.
Yeah.
And you still got a guy like Aaron Donald on the other side who is going to provide so much, I guess, relief from the other defensive end because he brings so much attention.
Yeah.
It's similar to kind of a Myles Garrett in that Cleveland Browns offense on the defensive line, where you have to double team him almost all the time, sometimes triple
Yeah.
team. And that's going to open up room and opportunities for other guys. So he's really kind of the heart and soul of this defense. So for me, yeah, like losing some of these pieces, I think it's easily replaceable because you still have Aaron Donald on there. So biggest thing, he needs to stay healthy. I don't think he's ever had any health issues, but I do see he is. I think he's going to be 30 this season, so just something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But if he stays healthy, I don't see why they wouldn't have the number one defense again.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add too is they did lose John Johnson, their safety from last year. He had a really good like rangy presence over the top, and to me, I think that's a bigger loss than anybody on the defensive line because, like you said, with Aaron Donald down there, he's going to take so much attention that you can almost plug and play other pieces, especially with Leonard Floyd
Yeah,
as one of those pieces. We were talking before the episode, and those are two double-digit sack guys.
yeah,
So for me, I think this defense will be okay. If they're not number one, they will for sure be top five,
absolutely. Yeah,
especially with Jalen Ramsey at corner. Excuse me. So I really think that the Rams are just an overall threat to any team because they really could show up and just like shut out a team, and
oh yeah,
you can't win if you don't score any points. So like
oh yeah.
And I think this offense is going to be much more improved with Matt Stafford instead of Jared Goff behind the helm.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the guys, I guess kind of moving on to the offense, but one of the guys that I think is probably, in my opinion, going to have a breakout season is a guy like Van Jefferson. They lost a wide receiver in Josh Reynolds, and Van Jefferson coming out of college two years ago
Mm-hmm.
was just a really polished route runner. He ran about mid 4.4s. So like nothing elite, but he's definitely very fast and very quick, and he just has overall solid hands. And I think that's a guy that Matt Stafford is just going to kind of gravitate to. They also still have Robert Woods on the outside. So for me, I think Van Jefferson is a guy who this offense can kind of run through. And then don't forget about Cooper Kupp. He's been injured the last few years, and I think a lot of people outside of Rams fans have kind of forgot about that name.
Yeah.
And so I really think that the Rams offense is going to be pretty deadly as well.
Yeah, it really is. It's similar to the Cardinal setup where you have DeAndre Hopkins on one side, and
Mm-hmm.
then AJ Green now on the other. The Rams have a similar setup with
Mm-hmm.
Kupp and Woods, and so it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for guys in the slot, such as Van
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson or potentially even Tutu Atwell
Yeah,
as well. Their first overall pick in the second round. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how they utilize each other, especially also with the loss of Cam Akers. Has there been any other signings?
the loss of Cam Akers.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Well, that's news to me. When did that happen?
it happened about a week ago or 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
okay.
Today's August 10th,
Yeah.
um, and so Yeah, let me double check here just to make sure I'm not
Oh, that's something that I
getting
guess
fake
slipped through the
news.
research.
Yeah, yeah. So he tore his Achilles. Oh, it was actually 3 weeks ago. So,
Oh,
which
okay.
really does kind of stink. It feels like he was going to have a really good year. He had 625 yards last year and didn't do too much on the receiving end. They do have Darrell Henderson still, I believe.
Yeah.
He's only going to be 24 years old, so he should still be
Hmm.
under contract with them. So, huge opportunity for them. So,
Yeah.
really, especially then it's nice having that addition of Matt Stafford, who is
Yeah.
used to throwing the ball a lot because he has been behind in almost every game in his career.
Yeah.
Uh, so it seems like they're going to be more of a pass heavy offense just because they might not
Hmm.
have the ability to run the ball as well.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's also a great addition as well. Nothing against Jared Goff, but I think Matt Stafford has been a very underrated quarterback throughout his career
Yeah.
only because he's been in Detroit. And
Yeah.
this is his first real opportunity, I would think, to actually not just win a playoff game because he's never done that before, but to actually make a pretty deep run. And I
Yeah.
actually think that was one of my bold predictions for the Rams was that he was going to play in his first NFC championship game. We'll see.
Yeah. And I mean, they have the roster to do it, even with the absence of Cam Akers, who I was actually that actually is kind of heartbreaking for me. He was a guy that I was very excited to watch this season.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I adding Austin Blythe to that offensive line, I think, is another big addition that will kind of help them just be a much more pass heavy offense. It'll be interesting to see how Sean McVay gets creative now, not having the running back that they had hoped for
Yeah.
in kind of their playmaking schemes. But I do want to go ahead and just kind of hop into their schedule really fast
Mm-hmm.
and kind of talk about this. So I have them at second in their division. However, I have them going 14-3, and this is kind of to me, this is probably like their ceiling. 14-3, 15-2 is about as good as I think any team besides the Bucks can get.
Yeah.
Uh, but they start out with a game against Chicago uh, in LA, and then they go to Indianapolis, which will be most likely a Carson Wentzless Colts. And then they have a tough game against Tampa Bay that I have them losing. But then after that, they have, in my opinion, probably the easiest 5 game stretch of any team in the NFL. So they play Arizona at LA, and then they go to Seattle. Then they play the Giants at New York, then Detroit, and then Houston. Probably the easiest 5 games I think any team is going to have in a row all year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and then they do play Tennessee, but it's at LA, and I have them winning that game. And then they have to go to San Francisco. I have them losing that. And then, in my opinion, a prime bye week, perfect spot, week 11. And then to Green Bay. Then they play Jacksonville, the Cardinals, Seahawks, Minnesota. They have to go to Baltimore and then finish out the season playing against the 49ers. And so I have them going 14-3, coming in at second in the division. But I really think like their floor might be 11-6.
Yeah, I was thinking something similar because, yeah, they do play the Buccaneers, the Packers, and then obviously the 49ers twice. But a
Yeah,
team that would concern me that put up a lot of points would be the Colts. But when they play the Colts, they're probably not going to have Carson Wentz.
yeah,
And so for me, their defense is just so dominant. They can hold teams
hmm
to 17 points. It's, heck, even less than that. And I'm looking at teams that could be competitive against them, such as Seattle or even Tennessee. And in both those cases, the defense for both those teams are
or
are,
not.
are weaker
Yeah,
are weaker than their offense.
yeah,
Uh, so the Rams, I mean, I think they have a prime opportunity. I think
hmm
to obviously win double digit games, but I think potentially um, fight for the first overall seed in the NFC playoffs because obviously
yeah,
there's a chance for them to win the division. But not only that, if they can get that bye week, which I absolutely think they can,
hmm
they don't have that difficult of a schedule. I feel
no.
in comparison to other teams that were second in their division.
Yeah, and I also do feel like a lot of their tough games are at home. Like Tennessee is at home, Tampa Bay is at home. Obviously, they'll get San Francisco at home one time.
The one game that they have against against Green Bay is on the road. They have a bye before that, so they have a
Yeah,
long rest
exactly.
period before.
Yeah, and so for me, I mean, their schedule is set up prime for uh, a very high win total this year.
So, oh yeah, set up for a lot of wins.
Yeah.
A lot of wins coming out of LA, but yeah, they didn't make too many moves. They made one big sexy move with adding Matt Stafford, which I
Mhm.
think was good for all parties involved. Well, maybe not Jared Goff, but maybe a fresh start for Jared Goff
Yeah.
is what he needed. But they're definitely in win now mode because I feel in a couple of years they're going to be hit with some cap decisions and some
Mhm.
people are going to need to be let go. So hey, let's win a Super Bowl now. But
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun season to watch, especially with Matt Stafford going on. I feel like there's a lot of storylines. There's a lot of storylines
Yeah.
because watching Matt Stafford. But anyways, I think that's going to do it here for us talking about the Rams season preview. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not already, and also like this video. Or if you didn't like what we had to say, please comment and let us know your thoughts. So, anyways, good luck this season, Rams fans, and we'll see you next time.